Today, my friends, and over the course of 24 hours, we have a ton of massive reports to get through, including the big news we have all been waiting for. But have we finally found an agreement to sign Joao Felix? Today, my friends, lots to get through. Hope you enjoy. Hit that like button. Don't forget to watch yesterday's big preview in anticipation for our game tomorrow against Man City. And to give you guys a heads up, I will be doing a watch along stream for that game. Make sure you guys watch it with me on BlueLionsTV. Hope you enjoy, and let's get straight into things. We start off with some pretty interesting reports that came out from Paul Joyce, the journalist at the Times. And he reports that clubs including Fulham, Newcastle, Aston Villa, clubs from abroad, as well as us, are all expressing interest in Joao Gomez of Liverpool. Now, this is surprising news, or is it really? Because to understand the backstory behind this report, we have to remember that it has come out now that Axel Disasi is considering his future and would be open to a move before the window ends. And we have demoted Trevor Chalobah. He's playing for the reserves right now, and we hope to sell him before the window ends. So technically, we could lose 2 defenders before the window closes. And if that's the case, I guess there is a possibility that opens up that we could get a defender before the window closes. Does it make any sense? You would think to yourself, if you have to target a defender because Disasi wants out, why not just keep Trevor Chalobah, a player who ended last season as our best centre-back? It doesn't make sense, but let's keep things real. The moment that Thiago Silva left us and Tosin was signed, it spelled the end for Chalobah's future here, and it still baffles me that they'll try and gas it to be like he doesn't suit Maresca's needs or demands, the football isn't for him, as if this guy wasn't excelling under Thomas Tuchel. Let's wait for more updates around this Joao Gomez report. It's not false. Today, when Liverpool beat Ipswich Town 2-0, Gomez was not part of the matchday squad. He was omitted from that as he is hoping to find a move away before the window closes. If Liverpool cannot find an agreement that satisfies them, he will remain there. So let's watch this space. I mean, I can imagine that Joao Gomez is appreciated now because he has become more of a utility player at Liverpool, able to fill positions that Liverpool needs. Now, do we not already possess a player that can do that costs us nothing? I'm not going to get into that, but my friends, that's everything surrounding the Joao Gomez news. Share your thoughts and opinions. How do you feel about this? And now, let's turn our attentions to more things we learned in Maresca's press conference yesterday. I'm going to break things to 2 parts, and to focus on the first part, we discussed this season's objectives and ambitions, as Maresca reveals that nobody said to me, Enzo, we need to finish in the first 4. I'm going to continue on. Here's what Maresca said, as he goes on to say, what they said was, we need to, step by step, arrive and compete with that. For sure, if you ask me, my dream is to compete with the teams that, at this moment, are dominating English football. This is my dream for sure, 100%, but at the same time, we know that to close that gap, it's not going to be automatic. We need to train, to work every day together. The only thing I can say is that nobody from the club said to me we need to finish in the first 4 or we fail. And the reason why we are looking for 5 years to build something important is because we want to be consistent. So that was a bit of a surprise to learn, but I'm going to afford some grace. I think it'd be very easy to be reactionary and make statements like Maresca's got no ambition or the ownership are lying to us, blah, blah, blah. You guys know that my channel's not here for that type of talk, but you know, let's actually try to unpack and understand the context, the perspective behind Maresca's press conference, you know? I think to understand things, we have to go back to when Maresca was first negotiating with the club before he officially signed for us. Now, at the time, our initial proposal was a 2-year deal plus 1-year extension, and Maresca thought to himself, listen, that doesn't really display confidence in my ideas, my coaching, my philosophy. If you really believe in me, I need to see a commitment from your side. Hence why we struck a deal to sign him on a 5-year deal. We've learned throughout the summer that there's an understanding that patience is needed because it does seem like the club are fully backing Maresca, fully backing him to transform the football club. We're doing things for our academy. we're looking to build and grow in other avenues and aspects at this football club. It seems like we are really pushing towards this style of football. This is the football club we want to be, and we see Maresca spearheading that. So on one hand, maybe it's reassuring to know that the club aren't doing false expectations like last season, where during pre-season, everyone was gassed. Everyone spoke about title challenges, guarantees for Champions League football, etc, etc. I guess we don't want to make that same mistake, so we're going to be a bit more measured with the message we're putting out there. Could the club, Maresca, possibly be thinking, let's let the football speak for itself. Let's let the results speak for itself. That could be the case. But on one hand, I guess it is good to communicate the fact that there is finally a sense of long-term achievements now, long-term planning, long-term thinking. So that's probably a good message to communicate. But on the other hand, they can't gas it. They can't pull the wool over our eyes, because we know that Champions League football is vital. It is important. I said last season when Pochettino was of the belief that, CL expectations weren't as big. Well, he quickly learned as the season went on that actually CL was very important. And it didn't work in his favor when we didn't get European football in the Champions League. And the other big aspect is the commercial aspect, the financial aspect, the sponsors. Currently, we are stuck with these short-term, decent money deals. We are rejecting any long-term deals because they're coming at lower fees. But the reality is we cannot command big money, high fees, the type of sponsor deals that would far exceed the deals we were getting under the old ownership, unless we have Champions League football. We saw an example last season when we lost out on the Jordan deal because we didn't have Champions League football. There's a possibility talks could reopen again this season. So securing Champions League football is key. And I think we're actually seeing actions behind the importance of this. And I think this explains the double pursuits of both Osimhen and Joao Felix. They don't come as 19-year-olds or 20-year-olds. They come as players who are about to pre-peak. They're around 25 years old. They have big CL experience, international experience, and big expectations that could help some of the youthful aspects of this team and squad right now. So we wouldn't be going for these guys for no reason unless we felt like, no, this is the time now to get CL football. And, I could be cynical. You could look to yourself and think, a new ownership comes in, the club's completely debt-free, you have over $1 billion to play with that you've already invested in the club. You would think that we would have guaranteed CL football in their first season as a new ownership based on the massive advantages that we had, right? So I do feel like patience is needed, but at the same time, I think results now are needed now because we're 3 years into this. So that's one part of Maresca's press conference out the way. And I'm doing this so we can turn our attentions on the big updates and reports surrounding Joao Felix and Conor Gallagher. The news is very, very positive. A deal is close to being struck and found. As we already know, Joao Felix has already said yes to the move, and he's already agreed to accepting less money. Those contractual terms are finalized. Right now, we're learning from reports in Spain that the deadline to finalize the move for all parties, for Gallagher to go to Atleti, for Felix to come to us, is next Wednesday. And the reason behind that is that next Wednesday, Atleti are planning on doing an announcement in the stadium to showcase their new signings in front of their fans. So they need Gallagher to be there for Wednesday. At the moment, they have already agreed to signing Gallagher for 42 million euros, around 36 million pounds. So I guess let's now discuss what we are learning surrounding Joao Felix. And the reports are looking very good, my friends. But to give you guys some quick context, obviously, as I've been stressing beforehand, Atleti needs to earn bare minimum around 45 million euros from the sale of Felix to account for his amortization value. This allows them to balance their books. They won't be taking any losses or negatives on Felix. So reports revealed that they were hoping to earn around 60 million in total. This would include a high fixed fee plus the rest of the payments coming in additional add-ons. But I'd imagine that 60 million euros isn't something we are looking to necessarily pay. So let's now discuss the big news that's been revealed by journalist Ruben Aria. And he reveals that we have struck an agreement with Atleti to sign Joao Felix, and the final figures are 50 million euros up front with an additional 5 million in add-ons. I think this makes a lot of sense. We pay less than the 60 million, 60 plus million Atleti hope to get. We satisfy Atleti's needs to have a high fixed fee value paid upfront. And the add-ons, of course, allow us to maybe find very clever accounting measures, of course, to structure the deal in a better way. That makes a lot of sense. In terms of a fixed fee, clubs don't necessarily just splash 50 million in one go. A lot of times you're paying the fixed fee in installments. I wonder if this is over 5 years or 4 or 3 years. But regardless, it seems like this is the final figures being discussed. It's out in the open. 55 million for Joao Felix, 50 million up front and 5 million in add-ons. That ends up being around 46.8 million pounds. So that would be 42 million pounds as a fixed fee and an additional 4-point-something million on top. And that isn't too bad for a Felix. Now, listen, I really want to give like my overall thoughts and opinions on Felix, but I just never have any time with these videos. I will be giving my full perspective on this move because yes, I am excited by this. There's something to Felix. I don't know what it is about this guy that I just really am enamored to. I really like, but equally, there's a logical part in my head that is trying to understand why we've decided to splash big money on signing him this summer. So my friends, how do you feel about this news? Are you excited? And let's now end things with the final reports as Maresca is getting ruthless. Last night in this press conference, he publicly revealed that Ben Chilwell can leave and is surplus the requirements. Now, here's what Maresca had to say. Ben is with us, but he has not been training for the last few days. He has been ill. The reason he did not play for us Inter was because with Ben, it's quite clear, even though I love the way he is, the problem is he is struggling to find the right position. This morning we had 22 players training, and if you ask all of them, they will say they want to play against City on Sunday, but that is impossible. When you train every day and do not get any minutes, it is not good for them or for me. I need to make a decision, and probably it is better to leave and go and get minutes. The transfer window is open, so we will see what happens. So that's the news. Maresca has confirmed that he does not need Ben Chilwell. He does not need the vice captain of Chelsea, a player that helped us win the Champions League by locking up Riyad Mahrez that night. And how do I feel about things? You know what? I see it in two sides. On a pure footballing perspective, no matter if you agree with the direction of the club or not, the reality is we are in motion with this project under Maresca already. So the fact that we are means that there must be full commitment to these ideas. A lot of times I've been frustrated with how managers we hire, they don't get the full commitment needed for their ideas to really be elevated on like the best perfect levels. And I think Maresca seems to have the opportunity to have that type of fortune. And unfortunately with the system, with us having attacking fullbacks and Gusman, Reece James on the right hand side, with the left backs now needing to be more inverted options, it does seem like tactically based on how it's set to be, there is no place for Ben. So I understand that Maresca has to make a tough decision. I don't think Ben's leaving because he's not good enough or not needed. The reality is that we just will never have a system where the left-sided left back will have to play forward. Now, I think it's a bit of a shame that he hasn't really been given the opportunity to be tested playing the inverted role. I don't think he's this one-dimensional player people always love to bracket him as. I mean, he was underlapping and overlapping under Thomas Tuchel. He showed his qualities in the books in the final thirds. I think his build-up play is okay. People really act like it's awful. And the thing that's really worked against Ben is just the injuries. I always see it as he's criticized for the games that he's not really fully fit in. And by the time he starts to show some form, he's then injured again. And if anything, I could understand why maybe the club feel like we just can't afford to accommodate a player on this type of money with this injury history, who also doesn't really have a future-proof position under this current tactical setup. So if you don't sell him now, you take a massive financial loss in the next few seasons. So I understand that. But on one side, of course, I respect these guys, especially the players that helped secure us that Champions League against Man City. I think Ben has been a very good left back for us. I think he's been very unfortunate. I think he's been a class figure in the squad. We can't forget how he's put his arm around your Mudryks and all the other players in the team. You know, how he's that support guy, kind of doing like Aspilicueta duties behind the scenes. I don't think we can just diminish that and ignore that. But his potential exit signifies the new direction we're going in, and nearly everything that represented Chelsea of old is quickly being phased out, blown away. I think, of course, there's a conversation behind, how aggressive we're moving in this transition, especially when results haven't even really justified how aggressive we have been. But all I can say is Maresca, I can understand tactically why he's forced to make this type of decision. So listen, my friends, there's some of my thoughts and opinions. Share yours. How do you feel about things? And we end things with the final two stories. We have some quick updates on Raheem Sterling and Chiesa as revealed by Maresca. And as he states, there were discussions in place involving a swap deal with Chiesa coming our way and Sterling going the other way. Now, swap talks aren't only exclusive to us. Juventus are also discussing swap talks with AC Milan involving Salamakers, who really prospered under Thiago Motta at Bologna, who is Milan's best player in pre-season. And it makes sense why maybe Chiesa and Salamakers would be discussed in a swap move. But I think it would be a very difficult operation. Maresca reports that we would be open to a move for Chiesa if we did find solutions for Raheem Sterling. But then that type of news kind of baffles me, because it just contradicts this notion that every transfer we make, every buy, is solely considered by the data analysis. That's one thing we've heard quite a lot of, because it kind of screams more opportunism, in my opinion. It's kind of crazy that we've come full circle. We've discarded players in Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi, players who had their injuries at the time they were gone, who had difficulties needing some time to get back to find their full form. And you think to yourself, all the replacements and players we're considering to, replace the replacements, are they necessarily massive upgrades on what we had before? We would not be in the same position or a better position if Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi was still the left wingers in the team. That's a conversation for another time. But even though Chiesa has his talents, no, I don't think this move makes any sense. And I also think it'll be very difficult to pull off, because Sterling's wages are so prohibitive that he doesn't have to go unless he wants to. So let's see if anything materializes. But the reality is we are set to miss out on one winger, regardless or not, with Joao Felix set to come. And with the final story, my friends, we discuss another exit from the club, as Bashir Humphries has agreed an initial loan move plus a mandatory buy clause inside in that deal to sign for Burnley. Once that clause is activated, he'll be signing a 5-year deal with Burnley, and Burnley's believe in him for now and the future, and I think that's for good reason, because Bashir is equally talented on his left foot and right foot, which makes him a rare prospect. Now, he's a very strong ball carrier and progressive passer. The percentiles in FB Ref reflect this, but he's still young, of course. His positioning, concentration, other aspects are also important to defending. They're still not fine-tuned right now. But when I look at how he plays, I think this is someone that will one day be in the Premier League in the next few seasons. And I think Burnley are making a smart move, coming in early for him at a reduced fee, knowing the fact that we have to dramatically reduce our squad. So good luck to Bashir Humphries. It's a shame that in another universe, he isn't just like our 5th choice option. That's what clubs used to do back in the day, but not anymore. But regardless, my friends, that is all the news today. If anything else comes out, you know where to find it on BlueLionsTV. So thank you for watching. See you all tomorrow on match day.